Hello everyone! I've uploaded the full playthroughs for Stormheim on both the Alliance and the Horde side, but I completely understand that not everyone has the time to sit through a 2-hour long video. That's why I thought it'd be a good idea to make a short video, explain the story behind this zone, and speculate a little bit about what's going on. As always, this video will cover information regarding to the next expansion Legion, so if you don't want any spoilers, please turn off the video right now. We begin our adventure into Stormheim with a couple of big lore bombshells. Sylvanas is now war chief and she's handing out orders to members of the faction while Vol'jin is missing in action. We don't know where Vol'jin is or what he's doing right now, all we know is that Sylvanas has taken charge. Varian Rin is dead and his son Enduin is now described as king. We don't know how Varian died, all we know is that his son is now giving orders to members of the faction. As an Alliance player, you're sent over to the Skyfire together with Admiral Rogers. She's a character that showed up during Mist of Pandaria, you might remember her from there, and she hates the Horde with a passion, especially for what they did to Southshore. Greymane, leader of the Worgen, he's also present and he has no love for the Forsaken. Around time of the Cataclysm, he lost his son to a poisoned arrow shot by Sylvanas, which was meant for him, not to mention that she used the plague against his people. As a Horde player, you're sent over to Bladefish Bay, where Naphanos Blightcaller, together with Sylvanas, they wait for you at their ships. In life, Naphanos was the first and only human ranger lord, the highest rank amongst the Farstriders. Sylvanas was very impressed with his abilities, and when he was turned 3 on that, he joined the Forsaken to serve his beloved queen. Sylvanas explains that we're going to Stormheim to claim the Aegis of Agramar, one of the Titan relics that will need to seal the rift at the Tomb of Sargeras to stop the Legion's invasion, but there's another reason why the Banshee Queen wants to go there. There's a treasure that she's very interested in. She knows that the Forsaken can't reproduce, so eventually they will wither away. There are beings out there though with the power to stop death, so that's the treasure that she's looking for. Now on the Alliance side, we're also going to find this Titan relic, yet Rogers and Greymane, they seem to have another reason of going in. They mention that our mission is to intercept the enemy fleet, and officially, they are to track them down from a safe distance. They can engage, they have been given permission by Enduin that they're allowed to engage, but only if an opportunity presents itself, and Roger strongly suspects that an opportunity will present itself. Greymane then tops it off with saying that he is not in the habit of tracking prey unless he intends to kill it, so these two are definitely out for blood. Now some of the cinematics are not implemented yet, but the end result is clear. Alliance and Horde, they go at each other, the Skyfire crashes down, plague is spilled into the local water, and our adventures within Stormheim can begin. In order to get the Aegis of Agramar, we'll have to go through 3 trials. We have to go through the trial of Valor, Will and Might, yet we're not the only ones that are trying to obtain it. The God King Skovald has allied himself with Gul'dan and the Legion. He will get them the Aegis of Agramar, and they will give him incredible power and thousands of worlds to conquer. With that, the race is on, and Skovald, he will show up from time to time in the zones as we go through the trials. He'll taunt us, he'll try to stop us. That's one part of the story in Stormheim. The other part is the reignited conflict between the Alliance and the Horde. Both factions are looking for the Banshee Queen, obviously with a different intention, while we're also fighting each other and cleaning up the mess that the battle created. As we prove our worth, as we help out the Storm Dragons, as we go through the trials, as we take down the Vrykul, we're eventually sent on the trial of Valor, which has us talking with a tree and the dead. We'll need to prove ourselves to the Queen of the Valkyria, who's named a Shieldir, yet Skovald and his Runeseer Valjar, they have other plans in mind. They dug up the bones of a Shieldir and they're trying to use their magic to force her to grant her blessing. The Queen is strong-willed though, she does not surrender her blessing, so alternatively, they decide to send her to Helheim so that she's no longer amongst the honored dead and that the God King won't even need her blessing. The spell Unleashed is so powerful that it even sends adventurers into Helheim. Now we'll have to break out of there, so we need to convince the ruler of this underworld, Helia, to let us out. But as we approach the throne, we find out that the Banshee Queen, she's already here. She's making deals with Helia, Queen of the Underworld, yet it's unclear what kind of deal they're talking about. She mentions something about the future of the Horde depending on it, and that will soon witness the birth of a new age. But that's all the details given right now, and we don't know what she's talking about. Sylvanas leaves us behind. Apparently she has the power to travel between Helheim and back, and we'll have to find our own way out by accepting Helia's challenge and taking down her pet. Back on the surface, we resume the chase of Sylvanas, while on the Horde side, you also have a mini battle with the Worgen, where you eventually blow up a ship and you try to take down Greymane. The Worgen is a tough one though, so at Skolder Shield we find Sylvanas who's trying to get into a vault. Inside the vault is a Titan Keeper called Eir, but before we can get in, we first need to discover what kind of ritual is required, and afterwards we talk to a Shieldier, the same one who we teamed up with in Helheim, and she allows us an audience with Eir. On the Alliance side, we team up with Greymane, who says that we must stop the Banshee Queen. She will answer for her crimes against Varian Rin and the Alliance. On the Horde side, Sylvanas tells us that we get to see the dawn of a new day for the Forsaken, but sadly, the cinematic that's going to explain so very much, it's not implemented yet, and we're missing a huge chunk of the story. What we do see is Sylvanas, she's channeling a spell towards Eir, the Titan Keeper. Greymane, he's standing by, we see a couple of Valkyries here and there, but there's no real dialogue. After the cinematic is supposed to play out, we wake up again, and Sylvanas tells us that she underestimated Greymane. This mistake cost the Forsaken dearly, yet Eir cannot hide for long. If she must, she will hunt her through the halls of Valhallas, so the Alliance, they were able to stop the Banshee Queen's plans. That's not the end of the main storyline though. We still have Skovald and the Legion to deal with. We still need to get our hands on the Titan Relic. After rescuing one of the Storm Dragons, we make our way to the Gates of Valor, and there we're going to kick the crap out of the forces that are assaulting the gates. We close the portals, we kill the demons, we take down the Vrykul allied with Skovald, and afterwards, the quest giver that's been guiding us through the zone, he reveals himself to be Odin. Odin is the Titan Keeper that's waiting for us in the Halls of Valor. He has seen that we are worthy, and he allows us access into his domain. He allows us access into Valhallas. This is the dungeon where we'll finish up this storyline. We're going to compete with Skovald to get our hands on the Aegis of Agramar, and naturally, Skovald won't stand a chance. We will get our hands on the Titan Relic. We will prove that we're worthy to Odin, but that's the end of the main storyline within the zone. Now, a lot of puzzle pieces for the storyline, they're simply missing, and naturally this creates a whole bunch of speculation to figure out what exactly is going on here. I've heard the rumor that Greymane is now king of the Alliance, and I'm not entirely sure where this came from, but I don't think that's the case. At the start, Anduin is still clearly described as king. Anduin, he gives orders to the Alliance troops, so we know that he's ruling the humans, but it's still a little bit uncertain if he's the Grand Ruler of the Alliance, similar to what his father was. Varian was actually appointed by the different leaders, the leaders of the Night Elves, the Gnomes, the Dwarves, all of them, to be their war chief in a sense. So time will tell if Anduin automatically flows into that role, or if the Alliance goes back to the old days, where each faction has their own leader, and they didn't all follow Varian's rule. Then there's the bit where the Horde and Alliance strike out at each other again, and a lot of people are like, what? Are you serious? We're facing a massive Legion invasion here, and you want to have another internal conflict? I think it's something we'll simply have to deal with. Apparently, they don't want to tell a story without Alliance and Horde fighting each other. This is World of Warcraft after all. It happened many times before. Just think back to Wrath of the Lich King, for example. We were having a campaign against the Lich King, and yet still the Alliance and Horde went at each other, so it's not surprising. At least this time, the reason why we're fighting, old haters die hard, we're finally going back to the Worgen versus Forsaken storyline. At least it makes a lot more sense than the reason it gave us for Astran, for example, during Warlords of Draenor. It even seems like it's the Alliance this time that starts the conflict, that reignites that spark, which I'm personally very happy about. Of course, the motivation, it goes back to actions of the Horde, Southshore and Gilneas, but still, it's Rogers and Greymane that spot the opportunity and take the shot. Finally, there's one rumor to talk about, one speculation, and that's Sylvanas killing Varian. A lot of people apparently seem to believe that it's Sylvanas who kills Varian Rin. And honestly, I've been looking very hard in the questlines and throughout the zone, and I've been looking for where this came from. And the only thing that I could find, even remotely hinting at it, is Greymane who says she will answer for her crimes against Varian Rin and the Alliance. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible that Sylvanas took the shot and actually killed Varian, but it seems to go against her character and the introduction cinematic for Legion. Sylvanas' motivation right now is that she wants to stay alive, right? So she's trying to find a way to create more Forsaken, to postpone her damnation in hell. She's making deals with evil creatures like Helia, and that absolutely fits. Remember the demonstration that she gave Garrosh with her new Valkyr as they were resting the dead? Garrosh is like, what is this abomination? What makes you different than the Lich King now? Sylvanas doesn't care what she has to do, as long as she's going to stay alive, as long as she stays out of hell. Taking out the King of the Alliance though, that doesn't seem to fit that picture. You're not only taking out a very powerful ally against the Legion, you're also painting a gigantic target on your back. That seems a bit odd to me, not to mention that in the introduction cinematic she actually saves Varian's life. So again, it's not impossible, but I would be very surprised. So you might wonder, what exactly are these crimes that Greymane talks about then? Well, part of it could simply reference to what Sylvanas and the Forsaken have done in the past. They've used the Plague of South Shore, they've used the Plague of Gilneas. Even at the end of Siege of Orgrimmar, Varian himself mentions that they'll have to deal with Sylvanas. At the end of Siege of Orgrimmar, he says, "We are unified like never before. We've bought our people security in Kalimdor, an end to the blockade, and an end to the total war that split so much blood on either side of the Great Sea. Now to the work of winning the peace. I would like to station a garrison near Fedamore. We need to investigate cleansing the plague from Gilneas' land so that they can rebuild. We must contain Sylvanas. From here on forward, the Alliance will be proactive. Never again can there be another the likes of Hellscream." That could be part of the crimes that Greymane talks about, or perhaps the introduction into Legion will show a moment where, for example, Varian's life is in danger. Sylvanas could potentially save him again, but this time she doesn't, and Greymane takes this as a crime against Varian. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of gaps in the storyline that still need to be filled in, but it's a lot of fun to speculate. Keep in mind that this is just my interpretation. I could be very wrong. It would not be the first time. For all I know, Varian did turn his back on Sylvanas and she did pierce his heart with a plagued arrow. Who knows? But for now, that's the story of Stormheim in a nutshell. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you have speculation of your own, if you have your own interpretation of the events in the alpha, then by all means, leave your speculation down below in the comments. I always love to read those. As always, subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!